Hey everybody, it's Liz. We're going to get to the fairy tale chatter Q&A in just a moment, but I felt it was kind of necessary to input just a little disclaimer at the beginning here. I was editing the recording that the Wicked Witch sent over, and quite frankly, she's in top form, I guess you could say. She's pretty rude and condescending, so I just wanted to warn you all, just a word of caution. Well, when I first decided I was going to do fairy tale chatter, I kind of sent out a feeler to a bunch of people just to, get an idea if they were interested in maybe doing a guest appearance at some point. I sent under the Wicked Witch and Glinda and Snow White and a bunch of other people. And everyone had really, favorable things to say, and they were kind of in for it, with one or two exceptions. But the Wicked Witch in particular, I think she contacted me about 6 or 7 times to follow up and kind of, insist that she was the first guest host. So I was a bit hesitant to put her on, to lead off the series, but I did it out of common courtesy, I guess. But I just wanted to warn you, so I'll get right into it. And when I was noticing when I was editing it, it was a bit, she's one of a kind to begin with, I guess. So I'll get right to it, and I hope you enjoy the first episode of Fairy Tale Chatter. Hello, dearies. I'd like to welcome you all to the first Fairy Tale Chatter. Now, I think it's only fitting that I am the one who hosts this first episode. After all, I am the most important witch in all of Oz, and maybe even the entire world. No, definitely the entire world. I don't even need to think about it. Now, I noticed that you all wrote me, a series of questions, and I am going to grace you with my presence this evening and answer all of them. Now, it's not surprising at all that there are so many questions. After all, I am a fascinating creature. And my life is interesting and enviable. So I completely understand why you're all intrigued by me. So, after all, I do have a fan club of my own. It's growing by the day. So, well, I suppose we should get to the questions then, as there are, as I mentioned, a number of them. I bet Glinda wouldn't have half as many, but we won't mention her name now, will we? All right, dearies. So the first question is by 3inchy2. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, and frankly, it doesn't matter. Whatever way I say it is the way it's said properly. Do you have any love interests, Wicked Witch? Well, I had a suitor about a year ago, but things did not end well. He is currently sitting on my front lawn as an ornament of sorts. It's made of stone, and, occasionally I'll have one of the monkeys clean off the bird droppings, so, if that gives you any indication of how things ended. All right, now, the next question is from Harry Nelson. And He wanted to know what my name is. It's a Falba Selena. My middle name is Selena, but I go by either name. I don't really prefer one or the other. I know that some portrayals of me in the media and in movies and Hollywood productions, things of that sort, even Broadway, have portrayed me as both names, but I prefer one or the other, quite frankly. Let's see here. I'm trying to use one of these blasted machines that, I don't know, handheld devices, something or other, and it's quite flustering. The next question is from Taylor Ann, who wants to know, how does the Wicked Witch spend her free time? What does she do to relax? Well, when the mood strikes me, I'll go out for a spin on the broom, or let one of the monkeys groom me. In fact, I have one who gives a particularly good back rub, so I'll indulge in that. Maybe I'll burn some frankincense and myrrh candles. Those are my favorite. Either that or one I believe that's called Zen, and it has some various different aromatherapy oils in it. Oh, this contraption's beeping at me. Ugh. The magic of the worst kind. Okay, the next one is from Lily Barchers, who would love to hear my top 3 pieces of relationship advice. Lily. Let's see. Trust no one is the first thing. Second, all relationships will end in doom and heartbreak is the second. And thirdly, there's nothing that a curse won't fix, including a broken heart. Revenge is the best medicine. All right. Let's see what else. Cherry worms. What brand or shade of makeup do you buy for that beautiful green skin? First of all, thank you very much. I know that my skin is absolutely fabulous. For the summer, since I do get a bit of a tan, I usually use a color called Heavenly Lime. And it's a bit darker than my usual. Quite a lovely shade. It's made by L'Oreal. And for the winters, I use a bit of a lighter one as my skin tends to lighten just a tad, and that one is called Light Emerald. And that one, I believe, is by Rimmel of Oz, if I'm not mistaken. And then there are a variety of different bronzers and mascaras that I use. I like to have plump, full lashes usually, and just a light lip gloss. Katharina Holtzapfel says, she has quite a few questions for me, of course. Who wouldn't have quite a few questions for me? I am fascinating, as I said. What is your earliest or most poignant childhood memory? Oh, this is a good one, Katharina. Well, I'd have to say one year I was bobbing for apples. It's actually the year I discovered that I had my water allergy, which I'll talk about a bit later on. I believe there are a few questions revolving around my issues with water. So I was bobbing for apples, and I was dressed up as a princess, I believe, which is rather unusual for me, because usually I just go as a witch, which I'll address later, because I believe that's yet another question. But I was bobbing for apples, and I don't quite know what happened, but 3 of the other children ended up in the barrel with the water, and I laughed for several days. It was quite amusing, and I believe that is my earliest and my most poignant memory. They were drenched. Then again, that's what you get for making fun of me, isn't it? Not that I'm bitter. What is your best life lesson? She asks. Well, I suppose it's that envy isn't a bad thing. It gets a bad rap. I mean, everyone's going about saying, jealousy is awful and it'll get you nowhere in life. But look at me. I've done quite well with envy. In fact, it's one of my best friends. What other questions does she have for me? Good questions, Katerina. They're all quite good. I'm rather impressed, especially since I don't believe any of you are magical beings, so this is quite impressive, I must say. For mere mortals, that is. What nicknames did you have in high school? I was homeschooled, dear. My parents sent me one day to a preparatory school, and, well, it wasn't a good experience. I ended up turning one of them to ash. It was repaired. I mean, they had a well-educated nurse on hand, but and two others ended up as toads. So no one called me any names. But they did give me the odd glance, and that was enough for me. All right, now this contraption's frozen up on me. Oh. I'm telling you, usually I just print everything out on paper or have scrolls lying around, and I have the monkeys dictate some notes for me, but it's the last time I have anyone talk me into using one of these mobile phones. Wi-Fi or whatever the case may be. Let's see here. Let's get back to her question. Oh, the last question she has is advice. Do I have any advice on dealing with cheerful people? If you can't avoid them and head in the opposite direction when you see them walking down the street with those smirks on their faces, well, a little wand can't hurt, can it? If an accident, a seemingly harmless accident should befall them, that will take the cheer right out of them now, won't it? All right, now we have questions from Gail Rowan. The first one, did you have any pets growing up? I had a pet toad, a pet snake, and of course my first pet monkey. In fact, I had several pet monkeys growing up until I developed my own legion of them. I prefer them over humans. Next question, what are some of your favorite foods or beverages? Oh, I love a glass of warm apple cider, and I'm a big fan of parsnips and beets. And, what else? Well, a wheatgrass smoothie every now and again. What else? How many broomsticks do you have, and what kinds of tasks do you use them for other than flying? I have, my last count, I had to look up this one actually and do a bit of investigating. Well, my monkeys did anyway. I have 17 broomsticks at the moment, and I'm looking to add another one. I have my eye on one on eBay. I use them, of course, for sweeping. I don't sweep. I enchant them to sweep. What else? It can get a bit dusty and a monkey hair everywhere in my tower, so that's pretty much all I use them for, though. But my favorite thing is flying, of course. Can't beat flying. Ooh, the next question, flyby. Which is your favorite flying monkey? I have one. His name is Bananas. I did not give him that name. That was given to him by his previous owner, but he's my most loyal and therefore my most favorite. He'll do some evil tasks that others just won't. And that says a lot about a monkey, I think. All right, the next questions are from Dee's Knees, who has 3 questions for me. First, who is or was my role model? Well, I'd have to say my namesake, Afalba, Merryweather, who was, well, a very dark fairy in her day. She was well before my time, of course, and I'd say about a century or 2 before me, actually. And my mother had a fascination with her, hence my name. She was said to be able to start a war with just the touch of her wand and a little whisper of a spell, so she is one of my favorite people of all time, and I look up to her and her deviousness. Next question, what sort of relationship do you have with your parents and any siblings? There's been much talk about whether or not I have siblings or not. I do not have any siblings, brothers or sisters, and, well, my relationship with my parents is rocky, to say the least. They are a bit wicked, but not to the degree that I am, and, well, we don't see eye to eye, more often than not. The next question is, what is your favorite book to read? Oh, I like the unabridged works of Lucius Topplebottom. Now, many of you may not have heard of it. I think I have the only book in existence, but it's a fantastic tale of a witch cast aside by society, and it even includes some spells every now and again, so it's a good blend of fiction and non-fiction. If you do get a chance to read it, I highly recommend it. Oh, another set of questions. Lovely. 3 pen pals. Asks, what do I like to do on Halloween? I like to scare children, of course. Any of them who dare to come even remotely near my tower. As if it's not foreboding enough, I do, believe it or not, get trick-or-treaters on my doorstep, and I scare the bejesus out of them. And they also want to know, does she have any opinions on costumes for pets or trick-or-treaters? A witch is always the good way to go. But one year, I dressed up 3 of my flying monkeys as, well, they were a trio. I dressed one as Dorothy, one as Glinda, and then another one as one of the Munchkins. And then we berated them all night and insulted them. Everyone had a fantastic time. All right. It makes me laugh just to think of it. Wonderful night. All right, Sui Sui Matt has a few questions for me. Number 1, was I born wicked? Of course, dearie. Number 2, do you think anyone is more wicked than you? Oh, goodness gracious, no. And number 3, how does it make you feel being around good people? Horribly nauseated. I think that about sums it up. It just makes me sick. Those rainbows and sunshine. Ew. All right. Blue Beetle 2.0 wants to know how I feel about global warming or cooling. Frankly, dearie, I don't care either way. I'm insulated at all times in my tower, and the only thing that does worry me is I'm a bit afraid that the polar ice caps will melt, and then that's a bit problematic for me, but I suppose I can just make my tower a floating fortress. Okay, Leon Cylon wants to know, what is my favorite chocolate? I love Toblerone. And those little Swiss chocolates. No, Belgian, I believe they are, with the seashell shapes. Jax Whispers wants to know, does drinking water make me melt? If so, how do I stay hydrated? I have a severe water allergy, so I cannot come in contact with water without breaking out in a horrible rash. It does not make me melt, however. That is one of the Hollywood stereotypes that they've portrayed in several movies, shows, things of that nature. So how I stay hydrated is I use a magical spell to essentially coat my throat and esophagus and stomach and all of my digestion, really, so that I am able to intake fluids. I know that sounds very scientific and medical, but that's how it is. Heidi Lindbergh wants to know, do I have any tips for dealing with seasonal humidity? Well, magic can fix just about anything, dearie, so I just use magic. If you have magic at the ready, I definitely recommend that. That's my tip. But other than that, I suppose a personal cooling system of some sort. Maybe they make some sort of suit like that. I don't know. Walking under an umbrella. I don't really know, dearie. Sorry I couldn't be of more help there. Well, I'm not really sorry. I'm never sorry. But, all right, and Heidi Lindbergh would also like to know where are the best shoe shopping locations. Well, I shop in Oz, dear, or online. As I mentioned before, I am quite a fan of eBay, so I do go on there occasionally. There is a local shop in the Emerald City that I somehow or sometimes have my flying monkeys venture over to, but that's about it. All right. Rachel Workman would like to know about me being bullied. Well, that's quite a grim subject. The few occasions I was bullied as a child, when I was playing in the Oz Central Park, dancing around in the poppy fields, minding my own business and being heckled by children, things did not end well for them. And I don't really want to say any more because there are some cases that are still being investigated, believe it or not, and I wouldn't want to incriminate myself. All right, Nutty McFreak would like to know, what is my preferred non-water washing method? There's a talcum powder that I use. It contains a variety of different things, and I will often use that to give myself a good cleansing. Also, sometimes I'll bathe in milk. I'm not allergic to milk, just water, really. So, and I find that a lovely bathtub filled with full fat milk always does the trick and makes my skin silky smooth. Brightens up the green a bit too, which is always nice. All right, and then I have Katharina Eisenhuber, who sent me quite a few questions. Let's see here. I can barely read the screen. Where are my glasses? All right. Would you prefer to live in another direction? South, north, east, and why? Absolutely not. The west is where it is. We have the best weather, and always raining, and but a light sort of rain where I can walk under my umbrella and enjoy the water without being touched by it, which is good. And there are very common thunderstorms, which I love thunder. Oh, goodness, it's loud out here. Ever since they allowed those motorized vehicles to come by the tower, it's... I wish it was the horse and carriage days again. Now then a witch could get some peace and quiet. Okay. Next question. Oh, this contraption. If you could send a message to Dorothy, what would it entail? Surrender, as always. Oh. If it was a lengthier message, though, I'd give her a piece of my mind. Oh, nuisance. Next question. If you could ask one favor from the Great Oz, what would it be? Oh, you know what? I have given this some thought. I would like someone as wicked as myself. In the same sort of way, I mean, a magical practitioner, and so that I could have a companion of sorts. It can get quite lonely, I'll be the first to admit. It's not easy being green. But, I suppose that would be it. If he wasn't a sham and a con artist, that is, because that is what the Great Oz is. He's a con artist. Another question. If you could choose between the red slippers from the Witch of the East and the kiss from the Witch of the North, which one would you choose and why? I want those red slippers. Next question. If you could switch lives with another villain from another fairy tale for a day, who would it be? Oh, I wouldn't ever switch. Then again, Maleficent is quite devious. Do you see yourself as an upright villain, or do you feel misjudged and misunderstood? I feel a bit misunderstood. However, I have done my fair share of mischief, so I suppose that's spot on. Well, they have quite a list of questions for me, don't they? How do you care for your flying monkeys? Food, education, training, free time. They eat caviar and pâté most of the time, sometimes crab, a random prawn, and of course bananas. Education, I homeschool each of them as I was homeschooled, and that's also where they receive their training. I have a personal trainer that I call out for them. And not the kind of personal trainer you're thinking of. He makes sure they're potty trained, house trained, housebroken, whatever you want to call it. Free time. They're allowed to do as they like most of the time, except when they're doing my bidding. Do you have any other pets? And have you ever considered owning a dragon? I don't have any other pets. I used to have toads and snakes, as I mentioned, but the monkeys occupy most of my time now, and dragons are just too much upkeep. If you could decide between a black cat, a black unicorn, and a raven, which one would you choose? I suppose a black cat, because they're unlucky. I'd sick them on all of my enemies, make them walk in their path, wreak havoc. Next question. Do you have any makeup tips for very colorful Aussians? Ooh. It's all about concealer. And you need to learn how to contour properly, especially if you're green. Make sure the shading's right. And at all costs, avoid purple eyeshadow. And then another question. Which other villain from another fairy tale would you want to hang out with, and why? I believe it's Maleficent. She's one that rivals my sort of, how shall we say, wickedness. The last question. If you could send a letter to Dorothy, what would it entail? Oh, I think that one's already been addressed now, hasn't it? Oh, I must have read that twice. Oh well, that looks like it's it. If I missed your question inadvertently, then I'm sorry. I'm a very busy person. But thank you all for tuning in to the first episode of Fairy Tale Chatter. And I hope you've enjoyed. Then again, I don't really care. And, I hope you all have a wonderful Halloween.